and he is only a junior, a player that Dennis Frew says, we like to run behind this guy, and that's understandable. He's a little dinged in the knee, so we'll probably see him mostly on offense today rather than both ways, but he is a two-way starter.
And the other guy that we want to talk about is the Delone Catholic quarterback, Colby Zortman, who, when you look at last year's game against York Suburban, really did not have a very good game at all, just 1 out of 12, but a guy who Coach Frew told us they really believe is improving week to week.
Well, not only that, he's a two-year starter. He runs the option well, and I'm sure he wants to make up for that game last year because he threw 2 INTs as well. So look for him to have a big comeback game today.
And on the York Suburban side, we want to feature their quarterback too, and kind of unusual, a lefty, Mike Beckley. We don't get to see lefties that often, especially in York County, Craig, but this guy showed us a lot last year as a sophomore and now back as a junior.
Well, great thrower. He had that terrific target in Zach Jackson last year. He's seeking out that again this year, probably in Drew Chronister and Lentz, Bob Lentz, but he had a great game against Delone last year, 177 yards and 2 TDs. So they had kind of opposite games last year. I'm sure Beckley would like to repeat.
And as you mentioned, if Beckley's going to complete a lot of passes, I'm sure one of the guys he's going to look to is going to be Drew Chronister. And Chronister last year had a big game, but, you know, a lot of that may have been due to Zach Jackson. The teams really concentrated on Jackson, leaving Chronister open. He's got to create his own identity this year.
Well, he absolutely does. He's a two-way starter, wide receiver and safety. Real intelligent kid, and they know he's thinking the game on every play, and he will be a key on both sides of the ball for Suburban today.
You know, when you look back at last year's game, the Squires won 15-12. Sean Smith, who's going to be back in the backfield again this year for the Squires, ran for 104 yards and a touchdown. And as we mentioned, Colby Zortman just 1 of 12 for 32 yards and 2 interceptions. I'm sure that's something, as you mentioned, he'd like to turn around. On the York Suburban side last year, Mike Beckley was 12 of 25, 177 yards and 2 touchdown passes. One of the things that Coach Frew talked to us about, Craig, when we spoke to him before the game, is the fact that he said you almost never know what to expect from Coach Milt Bushy and Suburban. They like a wide-open offense. They'll do a lot of different things defensively, and it's almost like you have to prepare for York Suburban differently than you do most other teams.
Well, they'll run a lot of things defensively. They're Krypton defense, coming at you in many different ways, and some stunts and things that go on there, and you really just have to be prepared, as you said, Chris, for a lot of different looks.
And you know, the other interesting comment that Coach Frew made was we talked about, we always ask coaches this, what basic set offense do you run out of? And he kind of laughed and said, just about everything.
and we'll see that today.
Okay, well, we will take our final break. You see Delone making it out on the field. We'll be ready for today's kickoff in just a moment. Well, Craig, we mentioned that both these teams are 1-1 coming in, but maybe more importantly, both these teams 1-0 in the Division II season, and really a big game because, quite frankly, I don't know how many losses you can put on the board and try to keep up with the Hanover Nighthawks.
Well, I think that's what everybody's thinking. It's 1 week at a time, not to bring up a cliche, but it really is. And, you know, if you look at the opponents, you'd have to say that maybe Suburban played the tougher of the two, but particularly with Susquehannock beating York Catholic last night.
Right.
That game surprised me, a 7-0 game. Not that York Catholic was sure to win, but I thought that that would have been a higher scoring game and maybe the edge to York Catholic because, as Coach Bushy told us, two of the best tight ends in the league on the Susquehannock Warriors were out of last night's game. So big credit to Tony Cerise's defense.
There you get a look at our York Oil Service game time temperature. Perfect, 68 degrees. York Oil Service turns oil into gas. Sign up as a new automatic delivery heating oil customer and get free gasoline at participating Texaco stations. Call York Oil today and turn oil into gas. 68, that's about as good as it gets.
It is perfect.
Some sun peeking through right now, a few clouds, a little bit of breeze, but great conditions for what we hope will be a great game. The Squires will kick it off. '31 is Mike Topper. His kick comes down. Brock Bowser takes it at about the 15, looking for a seam up the middle, and is run down just shy of the 30-yard line. So there it'll be 1st and 10 for the York Suburban Trojans.
In to make the tackle for Delone,
Mike Beckley, the quarterback, Brock Bowser, Brent McLean in the backfield, Richard Sneeder and Drew Cronster, the wide receivers, Robert Lentz, the tight end. Mullen, Conway, Kerr, Campbell, and Lewis up front for the Trojans. And here into the shotgun right away, Beckley looking deep, has a receiver, it's Bowser, overthrown, and I'll tell you what, Craig, Bowser was wide open.
He just overthrown. They came out with the no huddle right into the shotgun on 1st down, and they had the receiver right where they wanted him, splitting the linebacker and the corner. Go ahead.
Boyer, Rudolph, Reaver, McMaster, Wilderson, Sean Smith, Ryan Smith, Brian Kelly, and the defensive backs Zortman, Coleman, and Gauker for the Squires. And just another point to prove you never know what to expect out of Milt Bushy. Out of the shotgun, no huddle on 1st down. Now Beckley back up under center, single back. Bowser tries to cut it back to the inside, but not much running room there. Tackled by Mike McMaster, number 79, who brings down Bowser for maybe a 1-yard gain.
Well, I think a key stat to look at early here as Suburban tries to get their passing game in sync is that they are only at about 38% completion rate here through the first 2 weeks. But once that passing game gets into sync and Beckley gets comfortable with his receivers, look for that to increase dramatically.
Sneeder to the top of your screen, Chronister down at the bottom. Rolling is Beckley, back across the middle to Lentz, behind him, and in and out of the hands of number 86, Bob Lentz, and it's going to bring up 4th down.
And they're going to be kicking into a slight wind, Chris Bupp, that's blowing from the northwest, a little bit to the southeast. So as you look at it left to right here, Sneeder's going to have to kick into a wind.
Richard Sneeder in punt formation. Low kick. And up to take it is number 25. That's Travis Wilderson, and Wilderson brought down right away at about the 40-yard line, where it'll be 1st and 10 for the Squires. So 3 downs and a punt for the Trojans. And here you get a look at Delone's offense. Colby Zortman, the quarterback. In the backfield with him is Wilderson, Smith, and Topper. Gauker, the split end. Kremnenik, the tight end. Boyer, Kelly, McMaster, Jess Wilderson, and Brian Gagan up front for Delone. 1st and 10 in the backs in the I formation for the gold and black. Second back through, and boy, not much running room again. Quite a few York Suburban tacklers in on the play to bring down Travis Wilderson for no gain. Defensively for the Trojans, Campbell, Sneeder, Mullen, Lewis up front. The linebackers are Conaway, McLean, Kerr, and Lentz. Defensive backs are Bowser, Drew Chronister, and Wilson Tarbert.
Of course, they tried to go off that left side behind Big Jess Wilderson that time, but Suburban's defense rose to the occasion and closed those gaps pretty quickly.
So no gain, 2nd down and 10. Backs are split this time. The quick pitch, trying to get to the outside, cuts it back in. Sean Smith, nice run by him, and he cracks it out across the 45-yard line to close to 46.
Well, Sean Smith had a superb game against Suburban last year, I think 104 yards rushing. So this is an experienced runner, and he showed that by that cutback against the grain.
Pickup of 6 on 2nd down, 3rd and 4 for the Squires.
So tell you a little bit now about the thinking of Dennis Frew and his staff. Will they go pass or will they go run here?
And they go run, and cutting back to the middle and nothing doing Travis Wilderson. And I'll tell you what, one thing that we've seen early is York Suburban has cut the outside off to Delone Catholic. Both pitch plays were forced back to the middle quickly. So 3 downs and out for Delone. Low snap handled on the hop and just got off, and actually a pretty good kick, and Chronister handles it on the run and gets out of bounds at about the 27-28 yard line.
I tell you what, that was an excellent kick out of a lot of pressure. I thought they were going to get to that. They did not. It was a good kick, but there is a flag on the play, and then Chronister, I thought, made a smart play by picking it up and getting it out of bounds, because that thing looked like it was going to really roll.
Now let's get the word from the officials here and find out what the flag is about.
Illegal formation, 6 on the line, still 4th down.
Not enough men on the line of scrimmage.
So that means we'll do it all over. Will cost Delone Catholic 5 yards. Let's see what this will cost Delone. York Suburban would have had the ball at the 28-yard line.
And already their receivers are lined up pretty much on the 30.
A high snap this time, an end-over-end kick, and Chronister again. Oh, and actually this is going to work out for Delone as the ball rolls out of bounds at about the 23-yard line. So penalty actually didn't hurt Delone at all.
York Suburban ball, 1st and 10 from their own 23-yard line.
So the second offensive possession for the Trojans. 9:06 to go here in the first quarter, and we are still scoreless. And here we go, Craig. 1, 2, 3, 4 wide receivers. Beckley in the shotgun. Looking deep, has that receiver again. And again, overthrown, intended for Brock Bowser. And I'll tell you what, the defender back there, number 22, Matt Coleman, slipped and fell just as Bowser made his cut. And once again, tough break for Suburban as Bowser was wide open.
It was the exact same pattern they used on the first play of the game. Difference being that that time everybody went with Bowser. Chronister was wide open in the left flat, and there was a hook pattern on the right side with Dick Sneeder, and he was wide open. So they may be establishing something for later in the game out of that play, Chris.
Single back for the Trojans. Beckley has room to run, but has a receiver off the hands and intercepted by Delone. Off the intended receiver, which was Brock Bowser once again, and James Gowker, number 39, gets the tip interception for Delone. I'll tell you, that time, Craig, I thought that Mike Beckley had a lot of running room in front of him. Could have probably, I don't know if he could have got a first down, but certainly could have got close.
Had a lot of running room, put a lot of zip on that football, a tough ball to catch, but I think it was catchable. Deflects off the receiver's hands, and Delone takes advantage.
So Delone, with the first turnover of the game, has good field position at the Suburban 38. The pitch on the short side of the field. Wilson trying to cut back, and I'll tell you what, let's give a lot of credit to the York Suburban defense thus far. Tackle there by Bob Lentz, but the Squires trying to get to the outside, and York Suburban just won't let them.
Well, it's interesting. We've seen Suburban go to the pass a lot here early in the game, and we have not seen Delone show any confidence in that at all as they stay on the ground. Hearing that power eye again, Chris.
Yep. The play action fake. Zortman has a receiver and complete to Travis Wilderson out of the backfield for a Delone Catholic first down. A nice throw that time by Zortman as he just kind of laid it out there. And Travis Wilderson ran under it and made the grab.
It was an excellent touch by the quarterback. He really let that play develop, and because of throwing out of that power eye, he had very good protection. But he primarily had one receiver, and that receiver he allowed to run into the open and then drop the ball over the linebackers for the completion.
1st and 10 for Delone at the York Suburban 23. Right up the middle. Surging ahead for a yard or two, Mike Topper, number 31. The first Suburban defender was Andrew Lewis, but Topper picks up about 3 yards on first down, so it'll be 2nd down and 7. Delone, pretty much under Coach Dennis Fruit, Craig Smith, has been a team that run, and only throw when you absolutely have to.
Absolutely, and the timing of that throw was perfect. It was out of a running formation and executed to perfection.
Zortman again, looking on the outside, overthrown this time, intended for John Kremenek. Just slightly overthrown, so it'll be 3rd down and about 7 for the Squires. So Delone 2 times in a row throwing on 2nd down now in an obvious pass situation. We'll see what the Squires do.
This will be an interesting call, and if they don't make it, they were kicking pretty well in the pregame. I was watching the field goal kicker. They got the wind at their back. It might be an opportunity to test a leg if they can't execute the 1st down here.
Draw play, all kinds of room up the middle. Sean Smith inside of the 10, and actually inside of the 5 for a 1st down for Delone. And I'll tell you what, Sean Smith hit the hole. Wow, he was into the secondary in no time.
And nobody touched him until he actually made contact with Drew Chronister, who's the safety, and that's not who you want making the tackle on a running play.
Run it when they think you're going to throw it when they think they're going to run.
And that is exactly what Delone is doing here. They are executing well in this drive.
1st and goal from the 4.
The officials call a timeout.
We got an official's timeout on the field.
One of the Delone players, apparently.
I think it's a equipment problem with one of the Delone players. Here you get a look at the draw, and look at all the ends for York Suburban coming out wide, and boy, the middle is open.
Watch this. You see no black shirt until right there when, well, he gets tripped up a little bit, but then the contact very deep in that secondary by Drew Chronister.
Like Bob Lentz got to trip him up, and Chronister brings down Sean Smith. But here we go, 1st and goal from the 4. Up the middle, Topper still on his feet, into the end zone for a Delone touchdown. It appeared like Bob Topper hit a brick wall at first, bounced off of it, and then just ran over a guy to get into the end zone.
Well, at 5'10", 190, the senior fullback carries a heavy load in there, and he certainly packed the punch there as he made contact with the middle of that defense. Watch this. It temporarily hits in and then bounces off to the left. And right in here, it's his determination. It runs over the safety again.
And I said Bob Topper. It's Mike Topper with the Delone touchdown, and he will also attempt the extra point. Everything looks good. And Mike Topper, 7. York Suburban, nothing, with 6:38 to go here in the 1st quarter. And thus far, Craig, it appears as though, at least with that last drive, that the line of scrimmage right now is being controlled by Delone. And boy, if you're Dennis Frew, I mean, any football coach likes that, but he really thrives on that line of scrimmage.
Well, it looked like their running game struggled in the 1st series. Then they punted the ball away. There was a penalty. They actually gained 3 yards in the exchange, and then the interception by Beckley. And Delone certainly capitalized on their excellent field position with a very strong running game. But I thought maybe the key play of that drive was the pass play that made Suburban think about something else.
6 plays, 38 yards on this Sega Channel scoring drive. A little over 2 minutes on the time of possession, and Topper with the 5-yard run and the point after touchdown.
I thought, Chris, the other interesting thing was you alluded to it many times during those first couple drives that Suburban was shutting down the ends. And so where did Delone take it? Right up the gut.
Yep. Topper set to kick it off. Bowser and Chronister back deep, and it's going to be Bowser at about the 19. Trying to get to the corner, has some running room, and now finally is pushed out of bounds at about the 43-yard line. Good return by Brock Bowser. It appeared as though Craig was set up to go up the middle. Bowser was trying to find a seam up there and then eventually bounced it to the outside.
Nice run, good return, and they've got some decent field position to work from now. And I think now Suburban just simply needs to put those first 2 series behind them, forget about the interception, and develop their game plan offensively the way they had it in mind when they came into this game.
And that's not to be conservative, that's for sure. You'll still see him throwing the football, I'm sure. Second back is Bowser. Boy, and I'll tell you what, just a great job by the defensive front of Delone as Bowser got the handoff and Talk about getting hit in your tracks.
And let's be candid, Bowser is not a big back. He is listed at 5'5", 135. So between the tackles is going to be a real tough assignment for him today. And that was just a straight give, and Delone really penetrated well and shut that down for a loss.
2nd down and 12. Beckley looking over the defense and doesn't like what he sees, so he's going to use a York Suburban timeout.
And I think any coach is fine with that, particularly in the first half. He sees something he doesn't like or doesn't feel is going to work with that called play. Take the timeout, talk it over, and go from there.
Well, I think Mike Beckley and the York Suburban Trojans know this is kind of a big series because you don't want to get behind too far to a team like Delone, who likes to run the football, because once they get it rolling, man, they can just eat up time off the clock. You see John Tuttle, one of the assistants for York Suburban, out there with the offensive unit.
Boy, one thing that Milt Bushy does, he really delegates well. I mean, he lets the guys handle the offense. He's very interested in defense, and he's got that whole program under his tutelage.
Well, speaking of very interested, how about the Birds tonight here on WSPC Cable 4 versus the gang from Motown, the Detroit Tigers, and the Orioles need to keep beating teams like Detroit. They're going to get into this either wild card or Eastern Division champion. Beckley, with a lot of pressure, has a receiver, but just overthrown is Drew Chronister.
The timing just doesn't seem to be there early in this game, and that is not to say that it's not going to come. But Beckley's overthrown some receivers. That ball was not catchable. He threw a little bit behind Lentz on the one play, and then I thought the one he threw fairly hard that was catchable deflected off. So just not a lot of things going right at this point. But like a good shooter in basketball, you keep going.
Keep firing.
Keep firing. Good shooter keeps shooting, and a good quarterback keeps throwing.
Sneeder and Chronister, top side of your screen. Better protection this time. Sneeder picked off again, this time by Colby Zortman, the quarterback. And again, a tip pass leads to a Delone Catholic interception.
That one looked like it went off the shoulder pads of Sneeder. I mean, it looked like it was a catchable ball, at least on the initial look here. Take a look at it. Pretty deep pattern there. No, defense came across. Yep. Good coverage.
Yep, a good tip, and Zortman was right there to collect the interception. So turnover number 2 for York Suburban.
I believe it was Matt Coleman, number 22 for Delone, that came across.
Zortman with the fake gets to the outside and gets it close to midfield. A good pickup that time. Good ball handling in the backfield by Colby Zortman, as he had a couple fakes, tucked it under, and took it around the right side for a nice gain.
You know, one thing we might mention, we haven't talked about it in the first 2 weeks, is the rule change this year, that on a change of possession, the clock does not start until the snap. It used to be started as soon as the referee felt the down markers were in place. So if you think the games are a little bit longer, they are.
Up the middle, Travis Wilderson bangs ahead for a couple yards. Kyle Mullen, one of the tacklers, in on the play. Pickup of about 3, so it's going to be 3rd down and 1 for the Squires. When you get a team like Delone, and I'm probably going to beat this to death, but when they start running the football and they start mixing plays to the outside, up the middle, left, right, boy, they become awful tough to defense. Topper right up the middle, and he didn't get a first down. Boy, a lot of credit there. 66, Clinton Kerr, and also in on the play was Richard Sneeder, and I don't think Topper made it. In fact, he may have even lost a little bit of ground.
Well, I'll tell you, this is an interesting call here now. I would think you're going to punt it away, but I believe Delone's going to think about it. Their defense has played pretty well, but picking off 2 passes, you know, watch his penetration here. Kerr comes in. You know, there's a lot of contributions by the entire defensive line, but the linebacker then makes the penetration and nabs the ball carrier. They're going to get a measurement. I would think you're going to punt the ball away, as good as your defense has played.
Yeah, I don't think you want to give Suburban any opportunities here. And that's exactly what the Squires are going to do. Travis Wilderson back in punt formation, but remember, he's a running back also, so you never know. Bowser and Chronister back deep for the Trojans. Another end-over-end kick, and hits and bounces out of bounds at about the 19-yard line, so York Suburban will have it. 1st and 10 there, 3:57 to go here in the first quarter, and the Trojans trail the Squires by the score of 7-0.
Now, what I meant by that rule change is 3:57 to go on the clock in the first quarter. Right now, the chains are set, but the clock is not running. In other words, the referee in the past, as recently as last year, would say, run the clock. He cannot do that now. It's triggered by the snap of the ball, so the clock is not running now until the snap is made to Beckley.
Bowser looked like he had a little seam, but closed pretty quickly. Number 44, Ryan Smith, with a good tackle. Bowser with a pickup of just a yard, so it'll be 2nd down and 9, and just Suburban having a tough time running the football.
And of course, just like when you can't throw the football, you know, people start stacking up on you. If you can't run the football, they're going to really be able to play to take away the passing game.
Well, 3 wide receivers for York Suburban. And they go up the middle with Bowser. This time a nice hole, and Bowser gets it out close to the 1st down marker, going to be about a yard shy.
He spread the defense pretty well that time and was able to take advantage of a quick hitter inside to Brock Bowser. That's a good average per carry for Brock Bowser. Not a big back, as we said, but 4.4 per carry.
So interesting call here, Craig. 3rd down and looks like a good full yard for York Suburban. A quick snap. Bowser has a 1st down.
Well, the early time of possession in this first quarter shows a dominance by Delone Catholic. They've had it better than 2-1. But there's a real positive sign for the Trojans to get that 1st down under their belt, and to get it by utilizing the ground game.
And I was glad you read that time of possession note from Bo Rule before it flew out of the press box.
Someone down in the stands has a good piece of statistics here early on.
So 1st and 10 for the Trojans. Play action. Beckley looking, throwing, and picked off by Wilderson. He was looking for Bob Lentz.
I got to tell you, that was an awkward looking play. First of all, it was a tough throw for Beckley. He's a left-hander running to his right. But I'd have to fault, in that case, number 86, the tight end, Bob Lentz. I thought he didn't keep running on that play.
Right. It didn't. It looked like, and at least Beckley threw it to the outside, and Lentz was having trouble getting out there. And give credit to the Delone defense also. Wilderson with the 3rd interception for the Squires.
That's incredible, with 2:16 to go in the first quarter.
Topper, not much running room, maybe gets ahead for a yard or two. 56, Kyle Mullen again in on the tackle for York Suburban.
Be honest with you, Chris, if Suburban can shut down this drive, you got to be feeling okay if you're Milt Bushy, because you've turned the ball over 3 times in the first quarter. You've had very little time of possession, and you're down 7-0 on the board.
2nd down and a long 8 for the Squires. Backs in the eye. Good pass protection. Incomplete over the intended receiver, number 10, Joe Ratanavong. So it's going to be 3rd down, and that time Zortman, good time. Had a lot of zip on the football, just over his intended receiver.
The coverage was there. Had he caught the ball, he would have gone down pretty quickly. I think the biggest task now for the Suburban coaching staff is going to be keeping Beckley's head positive in this game, because as a quarterback, that's got to get to you early to have thrown 3 interceptions.
Here's the option, and loose football, and I think Delone fell back on it, but Zortman kept it on the option across the 40-yard line, but he's going to be about 3 yards shy of a first down. So
now I'd say at this position, you really can take a crack at the first down if you want. You can either make a decision to try to pin them deep, but if you kick it into the end zone, you're really only gaining 13 yards defensively because the ball's sitting at the 33. Or check that, I'm sorry, the 38.
And you're exactly right, Craig. That's what the Squires are going to do on fourth. And it's a long 3, almost 4 yards, actually. Zortman looking. Out to Wilderson. Has the catch and a first down. Evades one tackler. And is going to score a Delone Catholic touchdown. The same completion that they ran on the opposite side of the field earlier in this quarter to Wilderson. This time he pulls it in, makes a tackler miss, and has a Squire touchdown.
Well, that time they overloaded the left side, and the defenders were split between 2 receivers. And clearly, Travis Wilderson was wide open. And I tell you what, I've got to credit Colby Zortman. He is delivering the football at good spots to catch it and do something with it. Because once Wilderson had the ball, he could turn it upfield and make a gain, and in this case, a touchdown out of it.
Mike Topper with the extra point, and it looks good. So just 46 seconds remaining here in the first quarter. And Delone now leads at 14-0. And if you're York Suburban and Coach Milt Bushy, that's a tough one there.
Well, Delone has made them pay for the turnovers. 3 turnovers, 2 scores.
We will be back to finish up first quarter action here in just a second.
The Killer Bee Long Driver. BlackRock has created a longer length driver that weighs only 11.1 ounces. So even though it is slightly longer, the Killer Bee is actually lighter, which makes it incredibly easy to hit. With its longer shaft and oversized reinforced club head, the Killer Bee gives you an extra 20 to 30 yards, straight down the middle.
This thing is red hot and I can't miss the fairway.
Hit the longest and straightest drives of your life by ordering the Killer Bee today.
Why would anybody give someone they don't know a gift? They do it because this gift saves lives. And the need for it is desperate. We need over 20,000 people to give this precious gift every day. Please give blood. There's a life to be saved right now. Call the American Red Cross at 1-800-GIVE-LIFE.
Have you seen my son, she asked me. Have you seen my son? Have you seen my son, she asked me. Have you seen my son?
Men, women, children, unjustly imprisoned, tortured, executed, or disappeared. You can help Amnesty International shine a light. Call 1-800-55-AMNESTY.
Well, thus far, Craig Smith, it's been all Delone Catholic, 3 costly York Suburban turnovers.
Yeah, I would have never guessed, and you don't blame it just on one guy, but I would have never expected Mike Beckley to be 0 for 7 with 3 interceptions with time left in the first quarter. Delone has made him pay for that. Suburban's got an uphill battle now mentally as well as physically.
Topper kicks it to Bowser, who takes it at the 10. Looking along the sideline, and York Suburban, or Delone Catholic rather, just covers the side very well. Number 79, Mike McMaster, with a big tackle for the Squires. You know, and interestingly enough, Craig, you know, there are a lot of coaches in this league that after this first quarter may say, we're going to just run the football here a little bit and try and develop it. You know, you can't say that with Milt Bushy. I mean, no. he may come out in the shotgun right here.
Now, they just got to build the confidence. You may see him go to a little bit shorter passing game. Get some confidence for Beckley.
Beckley on the quarterback draw. Good gain, and has a York Suburban first down, something we haven't seen thus far today. And we mentioned earlier, when you prepare for York Suburban, you better figure that you're going to see everything but the kitchen sink. And there you see a quarterback draw from Beckley, who picks up about 11 yards.
Boy, he showed a lot of determination on that run to get that first down. So that shows great competitiveness to me on the part of Mike Beckley. And the clock stopped now for an equipment.
Beckley needed to tie his shoe after that big run.
I think Beckley wants to get the wind behind him now. I don't think you're going to see another play here in this first quarter. If you do, it's just going to be just under the wire.
And
Lentz out of the fullback spot, brought down right at the line of scrimmage, and that'll bring us to the end of the first quarter. Delone Catholic, capitalizing on turnovers, leads York Suburban 14-0.
Okay, the cable's connected to here. The stereo goes, no, maybe that's for the Nintendo. No, that's the CD interaction jack. Bingo.
For just pennies a month, we'll help undo whatever it is you did.
Count 3 and 2. Here comes the pitch. Swung on, long fly ball, deep center field, going way back. It could be.
For just pennies a month, we'll pick up the tab for your guinea pig's lunch.
On that side.
And the flag was right at the line of scrimmage, so I'm not sure who this one's going to go against.
Let's find out.
Looks like they're talking with Delone, so evidently going to go against York Suburban.
Illegal formation, 6 on the line. Decline, 3rd down.
You know, another very, I think, subtle aspect of that first quarter, Chris, is that Delone, every time they had a chance in the kicking game, the punt and the kickoff, they kicked to one side of the field and never allowed Suburban to really get a great return either against the punt or the kickoff.
Beckley looking, has some time, intended for Lentz, and Lentz makes a great catch. Unfortunately for York Suburban, it's going to be well shy of the first down.
So they're going to have to kick it away. In that first quarter, Delone had the ball for 7 minutes and 14 seconds. York Suburban, 4 minutes and 46 seconds. Delone had 94 total yards. A nice balance, Chris, as you take a look at the catch by Lentz across the middle, but not enough for the first. Delone had 44 yards rushing and 50 yards passing. Suburban, no yards passing, 22 yards rushing in that first quarter.
Wilderson handles the low kick. Tries to get to the outside and is brought down at about the 32-yard line. And I think maybe that, you know, we have mentioned a little bit, but I think the wind is playing a little bit more of a factor than what we initially thought, Craig. You saw there York Suburban really having trouble kicking into that wind. So 1st and 10 for Delone.
And pretty much the story of this game, the 3 turnovers in the first quarter, giving Delone a 14-0 lead with 11:12 to go in the second quarter.
Full house backfield and up the middle, still on his feet and fumbles the football is Sean Smith, and York Suburban gets their first turnover of the afternoon.
Well, they needed that. There's been 1 or 2 times that Delone has fumbled the football but recovered their own fumbles. And this time the ball just gets away.
I tell you what, and it was really Sean Smith, and you get a look at it here, fighting to try and get a couple extra yards is when he fumbled the football.
And as a coach, you can never get upset about that. Here's a kid really showing great determination on the run, and he gets hit from behind and the ball pops loose.
So now, let's see if York Suburban can take advantage. Inside of Delone territory at the 48, draw play, up the middle to Bowser, breaks one tackle, cuts it to the outside, 40, 35, and brought down inside the 35 at about the 33.
Well, he showed good quickness to the outside.
Yep. Well, you knew where little number 28, we mentioned his size is only 5'5". Boy, when he was in the middle there, he wanted to get to the outside.
Watch this. He really reads the defense well. He's through the line of scrimmage. Now he makes that cut to the outside. Now he knows he's got some room to the outside. He's got the ball in his right hand. He's trying to beat this last defender to get the corner. And finally, the sideline becomes that extra defender, and that's really what contributed to him being stopped.
So good offensive set there for Suburban, brings him a first down. down to the 32 and up the middle. Flags fly, and usually when they fly and blow the whistle dead, or the play dead by the whistle, which is what happened there, it's against the offense.
Dead ball, encroachment, white.
That's why I shouldn't say, because it went against Delone, so they were evidently lined up in the neutral zone. So 1st and 5, and now all of a sudden Craig Smith, the break's starting to go York Suburban's way.
Very interesting, but I believe mentally more than anything, Suburban needs a touchdown here. They need a score because they can't stall in this drive and give the ball back to Delone down 14-0.
Now 1st and 5, and Suburban goes into the shotgun, and Bowser, boy, just nothing. Mike Topper in there to make the tackle, and tremendous penetration by the Delone front four.
Well, the initial block was there. Number 63, Corey Campbell, pulled. He was out on the corner to block. The problem was all the defense penetrated from behind him, and because of the timing of that play, they really just shut Bowser down before he could get started.
So a loss of 3. 2nd down and 8. Beckley back in the shotgun formation again. Lentz in motion. Beckley looking. Going deep and knocked down, intended for Richard Sneeder, and Richard Sneeder became more of a defender to knock the ball away than a receiver as the ball was underthrown.
All right,
there you get a look at it.
Again, a long pattern, Chris, and you know maybe just a shorter pattern game for Beckley to get that confidence back passing. But you know it seems like Delone is doing a great job on coverage today. Everything is to the inside, being able to bat the ball away or intercept.
Look at this, Craig. 11 guys, all 11 Delone players are right at the line of scrimmage. Nobody deep at all, and overthrown, intended for Richard Sneeder. So 4th down and 8, and after a 5-yard penalty where the Trojans had it 1st and 5, Craig, kind of interesting. And now they're in a 4th, and they're down deep in Delone territory, so they're going to go for it here. But the passing game just has not clicked for the Trojans thus far.
This is a big play early. They really need this.
Pressure coming, and across the middle, intended for Joseph Cunningham, but knocked down. And quite frankly, Delone is just daring York Suburban to throw the football with all their guys up at the line of scrimmage.
And watch this now. He's out of the shotgun. He's seeing his receivers well. He's seeing them spread. They have the sophomore quarterback receiver in here, Joe Cunningham. He makes a pretty good break on the ball, but look at the coverage. I mean, there's always 1 or 2 Delone players, one to the inside, one to the outside. So even as soon as you touch the ball, you're getting hit. Good defensive series for Delone.
3 men in the backfield for Delone, and here goes Wilderson. Crosses the 40 and has a Delone 1st down. Travis Wilderson with a nice run and a good hole on the right side of that Delone offensive line.
Suburban's defense has got to be getting tired. They've been on the field a lot, and they just cannot, I don't think they can allow another Delone score.
I think I sense a little frustration on the Suburban side.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think Beckley's frustrated with the passing game, the timing. They're just not putting any kind of drive together. I tell you what might make this game for them is some kind of defensive turnover, that they get an interception or perhaps a fumble recovery that they can turn into a long run.
Well, the movement on the offensive line for Delone will cost them 5 yards. So 1st down and 15.
But I think to this point, Chris, Colby Zortman has made that difficult because he's handled the ball well. He's thrown the ball well when he's had to. He's had a very good 1st half.
Power eye backfield for the Squires, 1st and 15. Zortman keeps, getting a little bit of pressure thrown out there, intended for Wilderson again, but good defensive play by Drew Chronister to knock it away. Looked like the same play that they scored the touchdown on.
Right, and that time Chronister looking for it, he closed really well. if you're a young player, watch what he does here. He doesn't really go for the receiver. He goes for the passing lane and knocks the ball away. Good defensive play by Drew Chronister.
So 2nd down and 15 on the incompletion. And I kind of get a feeling here, Craig, that Delone may just run the ball twice and kick it away. I think they feel very confident with their defense right now, and I'm not sure that Coach Frew wants to put the ball in the air too many times.
Boy, and Suburban really loaded up for the run, too.
Option to Smith, has the corner, needs a block, gets out past the original line of scrimmage, pick up of about 6, maybe 7. And there you see Sean Smith, the leading rusher for the Squires last year, 5'11", 175 pounds. And he gets back the 5-yard penalty plus 1. So 3rd and 9.
This will be an interesting call, Chris. As you said, I tend to lean the way you're thinking, that they'll run this one out and go with their defense. If they get the first down, fine. If not, kick it away and go right back to work on defense.
Nope. Wilson looking to throw, sets a screen up. Travis Wilson has it and is going to be brought down just about at midfield. It's going to be short of a first down. There you get a look at Travis Wilson, who scored the 2nd Delone Catholic touchdown. And it's going to be 4th down, and no question on the Delone side. It's 4th and 4, and Coach Frew will punt it away.
Travis Wilson, probably one of the most versatile athletes on the team. When the fullback was hurting out last week, he stepped into that spot and was Delone's leading rusher.
Brock Bowser at the 24, trying to get to the outside and brought down just shy of the 30. York Suburban will have it there, 1st and 10, trailing 14-0. 6:29 to go here in the first half.
Well, this might, well, no, after those punts, they were down deep. This is not great field position for Suburban. This is one of their deeper spots to start.
Well, we see 3 wide receivers out, single back on 1st down. Quarterback draw again.
Quarterback keeper.
And Beckley brought down after a short gain, but you can see, Craig, that York Suburban trying to use the athletic abilities of Mike Beckley.
When that last series, Chris, I said that Suburban needed to score mentally. They needed to put points on the board. Now I'm starting to think they've just got to put together a consistent drive.
Right.
If it results in a score, great. If not, go in, they're going to regroup at halftime. But they can't have an inconsistent drive here where they turn the ball over.
Give Beckley 2 yards on 1st down, 2nd and 8. Counter give with a double handoff to Bowser. Cuts it back inside, still on his feet. He's running the wrong way. And is brought down in the backfield for a big loss for York Suburban. And just what you said couldn't happen for the Trojans just did, Craig, a big loss.
Yeah, they are really struggling on offense. And I think a lot of the credit of that goes to the Delone defense.
Yeah.
They're getting excellent penetration. Their pass coverage has been solid. And they've really just made it a pretty miserable first half for the Trojans.
I agree. 3rd down and about 15. It seems like an obvious passing situation. And the Trojans need desperately to get a 1st down. Beckley rolling, looking, has a receiver. Caught, and it's going to be enough for us. York Suburban 1st down. Richard Sneeder. And that time, Craig, everything was perfect.
I thought that was their best play of the day. I mean, they had that pass in the middle to Lentz that he dove and caught. But in terms of timing, and I think sort of the subtle difference there was Beckley was rolling to his left, and he looked a lot more comfortable throwing on that play than he has on some going against the grain.
So a big 1st down for York Suburban, keeping the drive alive. Out to the 43. 3 wide receivers. Out to the left, and a high snap on the shotgun. Beckley handles it. Looking deep for Bowser, and he has him. Bowser, the 15, the 10, and he's not going to be caught. It's a York Suburban touchdown. And a flag flies late. but I'll tell you what, Bowser ran right by the defensive back, Colby Zortman.
I tell you, Zortman got caught flat-footed. I think he thought that ball was going to die, and he'd have a chance to get an interception. And for the first time today, Suburban deep receivers just keep running, and Bowser does a great job here. He just keeps running and lets the ball fall in. And then I believe he said something, and I'm just speculating here. I think he taunted at the end, which is why the flag was thrown.
On sportsmanlike conduct, on Black, touchdown counts and forced on the try.
Well, I'll tell you, that he obviously said something, because the flag went up right away. As soon as he crossed the goal line, you saw Bowser look back, and the flag went up. So you don't like to see a player do that. I mean, that was just a great play. Revel in how great it was, not how you beat your opponent.
So Rich Sneeder,
man, this
now
makes this a tough.
Instead of just a simple extra point, this is actually going to work out to be a 35-yard extra point. Kick is up, and it is good. So Sneeder connects from 35 for the extra point, and all of a sudden that man, Milt Bushy and the York Suburban Trojans, right back in this thing.
And Bowser ought to be the first one out to shake Sneeder's hand, because that made that a tough extra point. But maybe that flag will help inspire him too. You know, I mean, it's not the way you like to see that.
Well, 4:46 to go in the first half, and there you get a look at the scoring drive. Of course, 71 yards on the drive. The big play, the pass from Beckley to Bowser for 57 yards. And what we don't have on there is the extra point, which was a little more than the normal PAT.
35 yards
by Sneeder. And the Sega Channel scoring drive brings Suburban within a touchdown at 14-7.
Beckley's got to be feeling great now. Bowser's got to be feeling good. He's got his big play under his belt. Now the Suburban defense has to come back.
You know what, and amazingly, Craig, you talked about how long the Suburban defense has been on the field. Talk about lighting a fire under that group now.
Should help. Should help. And really, Colby Zortman just getting beat badly. I really believe he thought that ball was going to die, and it just kept sailing. And Bowser never slowed up.
So Sneeder to kick it off for the Trojans. Back deep for Delone, Wilderson, and Sean Smith. High kick, and Smith handles it at the 12. Looking on the left side, has a seam, and Smith gets it out over the 30. And looked like actually Sneeder, the kicker, made the tackle there, but not before Sean Smith gets a nice return out to about the 34.
This is a reminder with 4:39 to go in the second quarter to stay with us at halftime. I believe an outstanding performance coming up from the Delone Squire marching band. And later in this game, we'll have the JK image of the day.
So 1st and 10 for Delone. Option. Good cut there. Nice run by Colby Zortman as he made a tackler miss and crosses the 40. Pickup of about 7. Boy, that was a great read by Zortman.
Tell you what, if Suburban's defense can hold here, and they can go in just 14 down, 14-7, as you take a look at this really quality run by Zortman. Excellent move there. Cut back against the grain. Gets him an extra 6 yards. If they can go in 14-7, that's got to be a mental victory, having turned the ball over 3 times so early. It's a big play. Beckley had a great throw on it.
Yep. 2nd down and a long 3. Up the middle of Smith. Avoids one tackler and is brought down, looks like almost right at the stick. Very close to a Delone 1st down, maybe a little bit shy.
3rd down and about a yard.
So we'll be 3rd down. How about a run behind that 6'3", 285-pound Jess Wilderson here on 3rd and short, Craig?
I think that wouldn't be a bad call at all.
And there is Wilderson breaking through the line of scrimmage and has a 1st down out to the 49-yard line.
And now Delone's starting to put together a nice drive. that involves primarily the run, and they've got plenty of time on the clock, 3:17 to go. Imperative here that Suburban not allow them to chew up all the clock and score.
Ball just across the midfield stripe in York Suburban territory. 3:05 and counting here in the second quarter. Wilderson again. Boy, and they're pounding that right side, Craig, and again, a good gain by Travis Wilderson.
A lot of tackles now starting to be made by the linebackers and the safeties and corners. I believe you can say, though, that throughout this first half that the line of scrimmage still really has belonged to Delone Catholic.
Pickup of 7 again on first down, 2nd and 3. Counter give this time, and Smith brought down for a short pickup. 64 is Mitch Knoll, or I'm sorry, 64 is Brandon Conway for York Suburban, who makes the tackle. So once again, here we come back to a 3rd and 1, and here you see it coming right at you. And 64 Conway fights off the blocker and makes a nice tackle. Third and short, and the play action pass to Topper breaks a tackle, still on his feet, and down close to the 25-yard. I would call it the 26, but interesting call by Coach Frew on 3rd and 1.
Well, it was a nice call because he threw the short controlled pass off a play fake, and so he froze the linebackers and was able to get his receiver out right in a spot that was very safe. So he's figuring, okay, I'm going to get the first down on this, and if he can break that first tackle, as he did, he's going to get a lot of extra yardage.
A minute 30 to go, and Delone with a first down.
Gut check time here for Suburban's defense.
And that pass, I believe, may have been tipped. Zortman's pass looked like it was sort of wobbling out there. Travis Wilderson was the intended receiver, so it'll be 2nd down and 10. I tell you, Craig, let's give a lot of credit to Delone Catholic. I mean, they just got burned by the long pass from Beckley to Bowser, and they come right back and put a solid drive together.
Absolutely. They shook it off, came right back, went back to business on the line of scrimmage, mostly with the run, selected pass plays in there. And now they have 1 minute and 22 seconds to try to put another score on the board.
Second and 10, backs in the eye. Rolling. Zortman looking, intended, and off the hands of number 42, John Kremenek.
That play looked like it was developing in slow motion.
Yeah, it did.
Great protection, but everybody was moving, it seemed, very slowly. The receiver was open, but he just seemed to, I don't know, just throw it a little bit too far out in front of him.
So 1 minute and 16, 3rd down and 10 for the Squires. We talked about their kicking game, but unfortunately for Delone, going into the wind this direction, I don't think they can kick a field goal from this kind of distance.
Look for a draw, maybe. No, quick drop.
Straight drop. Zortman looking for Wilderson, and intercepted by Chronister. He's got a lot of running room in front of him. And Chronister knocked out of bounds at about the 37-yard line.
You know, I thought he was going to get one 2 plays ago. That ball that was tipped, he was coming over and closing, but not fast enough. That time, he came right into the passing lane, rotated up properly, and watch this. So the timing is very good on his rotation into the passing lane. He steps up. There's the interception right in front of the receiver. And all of a sudden, he's free. Puts the ball in the outside arm. That's good. And he takes a pretty good hit here at the end to knock him out of bounds. But Suburban snuffs out that drive, and at the very least goes in probably 14 down, 14-7. And with some kind of long play from the...
Makes one cut and is brought down as he crosses the 30-yard line, where the Trojans will put it in play. And with a 19-point lead, you know, Craig, Suburban was pretty open with their offense in that first half. It'll be interesting to see if they remain that open or if they go maybe a little more conservative here in the second half.
We'll see. And almost on cue, much as pregame, the sun came out just as the second half kickoff was made. So very blue, very color-oriented fall day here. The last weekend of daylight saving time.
Out of the shotgun to give to Evans. Boy, he's got some running room if he can beat Myers. And a flag flies at the line of scrimmage. A fumbled in there late.
Well, why should that change to start the third quarter?
Yeah, that's for sure. I think we got a hold on York Suburban. We'll have to check that, but it looked like they were holding on the end, trying to seal it for Evans to get around the corner. And that's what it was. There you see Evans' numbers, 6.5 yards per